Okay. So, Rebecca, what would you like to see most out of this event?
Ah, that's a loaded question. Well, first to begin with, I'd like to hear more about the investment opportunities for buyers and or sellers, but mostly the buyers. Or I know my clients who are coming on this call. They have already bought their properties, but they're also looking to invest. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at as well.
I'm going to show you. Just trying to control what I'm doing here. So I'm going to show you this magical sheet that I did, and I'm going to go over it during the presentation here. But so if you were to buy, and I'm going to talk to you, Rebecca, and everybody else can kind of benefit from our conversation. But if you were to buy a piece of real estate, do you think it'd be reasonable that the appreciation would be equivalent to the average of the past 30 years? Is that a fair assumption or no?
It is a fair assumption.
So if you bought a piece of real estate FHA with 3.5% down, put down 14 grand, your return on investment in year one would be 157%. And over 30 years, it would be 11,383%. Your $14,000 would become $1,600,000. Now, if you invest at 14,000 in the stock market and you got a 10% annual return, your profit would be only $230,292 after 30 years of compound interest at 10%.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is.
And then here, if you can see, look at this formula I had to do to calculate this. There's functions in there I didn't even know existed. But anyway, and if you're even more conservative, right, and you said, hey, let's say it's only 3%, right?
Uh-huh.
And 3% a year, you still have a 4,000% return. Your $14,000 investment is 570 grand. And if you said conservatively 8% in the stock market, your 14 grand would be 126,000. So you would be 4 times the return on it with real estate. Anyway, that's a little bit of a pre-show conversation for you.
I love it.
So anyway, we'll be going into a lot of that down the road. And the beautiful thing is, those of you who are with the Remax Select Group, tomorrow's Mastermind, we're going to teach you how to use that sheet with all your clients to customize it for their benefit. All right.
Awesome.
Alexa, Robert, Abe, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can.
Hello,
Good.
Abe.
Hey there, how are you?
Good.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Eddie, Ron.
I'm here, hanging in there.
Very good.
Family is gathering.
Exactly. 4 minutes to go time.
What do you have in that cup? A little vodka there or what?
Actually, if you want me to make sense, it's only water.
Okay.
I got water and a big coffee.
Oh, now we believe you.
Tony, how you doing? Aaron, can you hear me? Is my sound all right?
Yes, Rob, how are you?
Doing great. I like your background, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll get started in a minute, and then I'm going to do a little bit of market updates, and then about 7:05, we're going to go through the meat of the webinar.
Good evening, everyone, from Gail Napolitano.
Hey, Gail, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Great. Excited to see everybody here tonight.
Ask a question before you get into the presentation.
Sure.
So I've been asked to put a sale price on a library that is on property that is zoned residential. And obviously, if someone was to buy this, they would knock it down and build a house. So how do I go about pricing that?
So, I mean, the library's a complete tear down.
Well, I know. I mean, the library is in great shape, but I don't think someone's going to buy it to keep it as a library.
And it's not suitable to convert to a residence, correct?
No, not really.
So then you probably would want to look at it as a building lot, and probably 35 to 40% of the value of a new construction home in that neighborhood would be where you would be likely to land. So if you're $1 million homes in that neighborhood for your higher end new construction, probably looking at 350.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 7:01. Is that Frank Del Pesh there? So Frank, you want to just while we're waiting for some more people to pop on, you want to just give a little bit of a global background of mortgage opportunities in terms of Arizona, Florida, New Jersey, Virginia. We have people from 4 or 5 states on here. Yeah.
Let's do it. So on our Friday meetings, we always talk about mortgage rates, which we know are in the sixes, low sixes, mid sixes, just given the day. So we know about the mortgage rates, but I want to talk about mortgage programs because that's what's really important. We all know about the traditional, conventional 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed, the USDA, the VA, no money down, the USDA, no money down, the FHA, 3.5% down. Those are your traditional mortgages that obviously everybody goes for. The adjustable rates right now are not too hot just because there's not that big of a spread between the 30-year fixed and the adjustables. So everybody's opting into the adjustables. So a couple things. I'm going to just go off script here, but if you have a listing and you're thinking about reducing the price, as an incentive, maybe you should offer a seller concession to buy down the interest rates for the clients. So you're going to keep the same price, but what you're going to do is instead of reducing it 10 or 15 or 20,000, use that as an incentive to pay for the buy down for the interest rates for the buyer. You can do that. That's a great program because it allows the buyer to maybe a 3 or 2-1 buy down to start out at a lower interest rate of either 4.5% for the first year, 5.5% for the second year, and then 6.5% for the remaining 28 years. So, and then hopefully within the next 2 years, rates will come down and they can refinance. So that's one of the options. But another program too that in New Jersey, especially, not so much Florida, but houses in New Jersey they're just going over asking price. There's not a lot of inventory. There's a lot of homes going, multiple bids, multiple offers. There's no home sale contingencies. We do offer bridge financing. So to eliminate the property that the buyer is selling, what you can do is we could do a bridge loan to take out that home sale contingency. So the buyer who's putting an offer in does not have a home to be contingent upon the sale. So bridge financing is very popular right now. In the Florida market, actually in all markets too, there are some DPA programs, down payment assistance. One in particular in Florida, I have a program where it depends where you live, not where you're buying. So if you live in a certain census tract, and I have no idea what that census tract is, all I do is I run their primary address through our system, and it tells me if they qualify for the Home Ready First program. What that does is it gives the buyer a $4,000 cash payment at closing to use towards their closing costs. It's not a second mortgage. It does not have to be repaid. It also gives them a $500 appraisal credit, and it also gives them a $500 home warranty. So I could do that in any state, but right now it's pretty popular in Florida. So that program is offered in any state, as well as the state-specific programs. New Jersey has the NJMFA. Florida has the Hometown Heroes program for the down payment assistance. I also have programs that for FHA, I can go down to a 500 credit score with that would be with 10% down, but the traditional would be 3.5% down. I can give a 3.5% gift, and there's no prepayment penalty on it. So there's a lot of state specific programs. So I just wanted to talk about the options as far as different type of mortgage programs that are available out there, instead of just talking about interest rates, because we know the rates are where they are and they're going to be, whatever they're going to be. So there's a lot of programs. So just reach out if you have any questions on any of these programs, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation.
Frank, I have some clients on there. Why don't you explain how the bridge loan works?
So basically what happens is there's a couple of different bridge loans, but let me just keep it real simple. And there's a different option. So I have a lender right now that will take the bridge financing. So let's just say, I don't know, you owe your house is, I don't know, $1 million, and you have and so we'll give 75% of that. So let's just say a million times 75% is a $750,000 mortgage. Let's say they owe $500,000 on their mortgage. We'll take that $500,000 and pay off their mortgage for them, and then give them a $250,000 deposit to use towards their purchase. They have up to 12 months to sell that home. There's accrued interest on the money. They don't have any payments. They don't have to pay their mortgage because we'll pay off their mortgage. They don't have to pay their property taxes or insurance, depending upon the program. We take care of everything. And what's nice is they can actually move into their new home, and then, clean up their home, paint it, get it ready for the market. They have up to 12 months to sell that property. If for some reason it doesn't sell in 12 months, which most likely it will, but let's go worst case scenario, we'll buy the home at whatever the market rate is. And obviously we're not going to be too aggressive on the price, but we'll pay for the house, and then, they don't have to worry about it. But it's real simple. We pay the house off,
Frank,
and they move on.
The main thing is the term bridge is you're not buying a bridge somewhere. No. It's just bridging your
You're not buying the Brooklyn Bridge, no.
It's bridging your equity from the house you're in
Absolutely.
to where you're going. And, I know Frank and some of our other lending partners have done some bridge financing, especially in New Jersey, where they don't want to give you an opportunity to sell your house.
Absolutely.
So thanks for sharing that. I have so much content to share with you guys and ladies. And for those of you at RE/MAX Select Group and our affiliate companies, thanks for attending. All the material that I'm going to present, you'll have access to tomorrow, and you can customize it for any of your clients that are on the Zoom meeting with us today. And everybody, you might want to just have a pen handy and take a few notes, because if you don't pick up one or two things from here, I would really be shocked. And I've been in the business a long time. Preparing for it was an enlightenment for me as well. So I'm going to share my screen, and let's get the show started. So, I'm the CEO of Remax Select. We have 37 companies and over 750 awesome agents. All of our agents have earned a lot of accolades for their commitment to the industry, their clients, and most importantly, their commitment to learning so they can better serve our clients. When I start these conversations, it's going to get deep in numbers, and those of you who know me know I'm prone to have a spreadsheet or two and give you some data. But most importantly, at the end of the day, the home is a place where memories are made. It's a backdrop for the holidays, family gatherings, special moments. You create traditions, spend time with the people you love, and have cherished and happy memories to reflect on throughout your life. Reasons to buy a home. Some of these were not obvious to me. It's an accomplishment. You're going to see the financial impact, stability, appreciation, privacy, wealth building, tax benefits. You can do whatever you want as long as it's conforming to zoning to put your own personal touch on it. And homeowners are in their house between 3 to 7 times longer than renters, so that you become a bigger part of a community. And some of those things you may not have on your list. Is it better to rent or buy a home today? Anybody have any thoughts? I mean, prices are still, pretty good, pretty high compared to 5-10 years ago. And, I don't know if anybody knows, interest rates have gone up just a tad. But who's in the buy camp? Who's not going to say anything camp?
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, right now, if you could afford it, it's better to buy. We all know that, the realtors know anyway, the pros and the cons of each. But purchasing a property, you have the tax benefits, you have the peace of mind, knowing that you have an investment that, for the most part, is going to appreciate over the course of time. As you pay your mortgage down, it may afford you the ability to refinance down the road and make other investments. All these things you can't do when you rent. When you rent, let's just assume you're in a condo complex or an apartment complex. You have people live above you, below you, on the side of you, noise, that sort of stuff. So those are just my quick thoughts on what's better to rent or buy.
And you built equity, a lot of equity.
So, one other thing that I'd like to mention is all right, hold on a second.
Monitor the mute, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute everyone right now.
Okay.
You're good. Make sure you unmute yourself when you're ready.
All right, I'm unmuted. Try to get the full screen going again. Okay. So when Bobby Golden was talking about the rent versus buy, one thing that sticks in a lot of people's memory is 3 or 4 years ago, interest rates were in the 3 to 4% range, and now they're probably in the 6 to 7% range. There's a temptation to wait for interest rates to drop. But, Bobby or anybody at the select team, if you want to just chime in here, if interest rates drop, what do you think is going to happen to the buyer pool?
More buyers are qualified to buy the same house, which means it's going to be more competitive. Bidding war still going to happen. It's going to actually be tougher for buyers if the rates go down.
So they're going to probably have to pay more to buy the same house, right?
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
And if you're on here and you're not one of the real estate professionals, if you wait to buy because you think interest rates are going down and you bet correctly, you're going to find yourself in a inflated marketplace where you're likely going to have to pay 3, 5, 10, 15% more because there's more competition and affordability is low. Later on in the presentation, I'm going to have a slide where it says, you know, if I had a coin that had 2 heads on it, said call heads or tails, everybody's going to call heads. If you win either way, why wouldn't you take action? The reason I say that is if you buy now and rates drop, you're going to refinance. So you get to take advantage of the lower interest rate. And the United States is the only country in the world globally that has 30-year fixed rate mortgages. And on top of that, we have no prepayment penalty. So for those of you who've bought homes before, you might not have thought about this. You know, it's a huge incentive. And then if you bought now and you got a rate of, you know, let's say in the high 5s for a government loan or in the mid 6s for a conventional loan, and rates went up to 10 because somebody puts a lot of tariffs out there and inflation goes crazy, interest rates go to 10 or 11%. You're going to be very glad that you had bought and locked in a rate of 5 7 8 6.5, whatever that is. So that's really important, and it's probably counterintuitive. If anybody's a renter, you know, when's the last time your landlord called you and said, "Hey, I'm reducing your rent"? Rents usually rise over time, and if there's a small decline, it's just temporary. Okay, and values go up to reflect the fact that the properties are more valuable and can command more money for rent. If you rent, you're more than likely going to pay more every time you renew your lease or sign a new one. If you buy, you can stabilize your monthly payment with a fixed rate mortgage, or you can even refinance if rates go down. The only payment shock or payment risk that you're exposed to is increases in property taxes or property insurance. Property insurance has been going up a little bit in most areas. In Florida, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. But if you're a renter, the landlord's going to try to pass that on as much as they can as well. Home prices, you know, typically go up over time. This is since 1988. To me, that looks like a pretty healthy appreciation. The only significant downturn was in that 2008 to 11 financial crisis because lenders were behaving irresponsibly, giving loans to anybody. They had no income, no asset, ninja loans, all types of products that were not financially sound, and basically the nation's economy paid a price for it. But over time, still going up, sound investment. This one here, I think, is really good to give you peace of mind. Since the 1940s, which is 80 years, real estate has a 90% appreciation rate. It means 9 out of 10 months, 9 out of 10 years, your property value is going up. And the lowest was during the mortgage crisis where prices went down 12%. But there are many months where you had double-digit appreciation. So in looks like it is 2002, 3, 4, 5. You were all double digits, and then 2008, you were a 12% decrease, still positive over the decade. Stocks, the past 10 years, 70% success rate. Even though, you know, it's a tremendous bull run, 3 years where it's been negative. If you buy, home prices will continue to climb over time. If you're looking to buy and sell in a year, you might have some volatility, or you might have some transaction costs that mitigate any benefits. But if you're 3 to 5 years or longer, I'm going to show you how it's tremendous wealth building vehicle for you as well. If you buy, your net worth will go up as your home value increases. Buying versus renting, these are a lot of the same distinctions that you have between buying and renting. One renter benefit is generally you're not responsible for repairs, although a lot of leases I've seen recently have the tenant responsible for the first certain dollar amount of any repair, and then anything that was caused by them. And homeowners, pay property taxes and insurance. Tenants generally don't pay the property tax, although it's built into the rent. 6 reasons to own a home. It's yours. Owning a home is great. You don't need to ask the landlord if you want a dog, plant a tree, put an addition on, change the paint. Number 2 is tax savings. You get excellent tax benefits from owning a home. You get to deduct mortgage and interest, subject to certain limitations. You get appreciation. And I'm going to talk about how leverage plays into your appreciation. You build up equity, and equity gets built up by appreciation, builds up your equity, and amortizing your loan balance down. Homeowners stay in their home 4 times longer than renters, building a stronger sense of community. And for those parents out there, homeowner students earn higher test scores and graduate at a higher percentage than those of renters.
Rob, the screen is really small, so can you see if you can zoom in?
What do you mean the screen is small? It's not full screen?
You're sharing the screen.
Go ahead, repeat it.
You're sharing the screen when,
Right, but it's not taking the whole screen?
no.
No, you've got you and the
we
other
have to
slide
see
together.
your
Hold on.
Presentation.
Is that better?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. We're gonna go to tax benefits of home ownership. Anybody paying attention? What are some of the tax benefits to home ownership? Anybody?
Interest deduction.
Salt deduction.
Interest and taxes. What other tax benefits do you have from home ownership or real estate?
If you work out of the home,
You get a home office deduction. Here's a couple of big ones that I think a lot of
Repairs?
people. I'm sorry?
Repairs?
You get to, it depend, if it's an investment property, you can do that. If it's your own, no. But here's a couple of major tax benefits to home ownership, okay? Number 1 is
homesteading tax exemption.
if you buy a home and you sell it for a profit and you've been in there for 2 years and you're married, does anybody know how much of a tax exemption you get?
500,000.
Yeah.
For a couple.
500 for couples.
500,000 for a couple and 250
Right.
for an individual. Now, I don't know anything else that you can do where you can take $500,000 profit, not pay the IRS, and still remain a free person. And the tax code is designed to give incentives for people to own homes. $500,000 tax without paying any tax on that exemption, it's massive. It's probably like a $200,000 or more gift to a homeowner. Okay. And then we're going to talk a little bit later about, well, here we are, we're right here. If you make more than the 500,000, you have a preferential capital gains deduction. Talk to your CPA. If you have PMI, I believe that's also deductible. For investors, property value over time historically goes up. There's not been a decade where it hasn't gone up. Even though prices go up of real estate, you get to depreciate it, which means that you get to defer taxes until you sell the property. So you can make a profit, claim depreciation. Okay, you've got money, but you're not paying any tax on rental property through this legal tax shelter. Okay, you can deduct insurance, you can deduct maintenance, you can deduct your accounting expenses, your property management, travel, and other expenses. Again, preferential treatment on capital gains. You don't get the 200 to 500,000 exemption, but you do get preferential tax treatment on capital gains. And there's an additional bonus there, which is called the 1031 exchange, where if you have a investment property and you decide to trade up, move to a different location, you don't have to pay capital gains on it. This was designed for somebody who has a business. Let's say you had a print shop, right? You outgrow your print shop and it's quadrupled in value. People might not sell it because they don't want to pay taxes. In comes the 1031 exchange, which allows you to defer it until you ultimately sell at the end of your holding period. So these are some pretty huge benefits. The average homeowner in the US is 40 times wealthier than the average renter. Pretty huge. I think the average renter across the country has a net worth, believe it or not, of $10,000. Okay, and that doesn't mean that their stocks and bonds and retirement account and bank accounts only worth 10,000, but what it does mean is all of those things minus their debt that they have, the unsecured loan, the credit cards that they have outstanding, the car loan, their net value, their net worth is 40 times less than a homeowner. That's massive. And it's not just for lower income. So somebody making 56 to 90,000, the owner has net worth of 265, a renter less than 25. If you're a family making over $249,000, you could be two professionals. Your average net worth across all age groups is 2.9 million versus 790,000 for those same income earners who are renting, which is a $2,123,000 difference. It's pretty massive in my opinion. 396,000 versus 10,400. Net worth gap between homeowners and renters is at a historic high. Okay. Used to be 5,400 to 187,000. Now it's more than $200,000 more of a differential. Homeowners believe that consistent neighbors look out for each other better. They feel safer. They know their neighbors because they stay there 4 times as long. And it's basically just an overall higher quality of life or higher satisfaction. Financial benefits. Anybody felt the impact of inflation recently? Anybody feel inflation?
For sure, you can't go to the grocery store without spending an extra $100, and everything seems to be so much pricier.
So people who have fixed assets like real estate, inflation is good for them, because if it costs more to build a house, then it costs more to buy a house, right? So as you're shelling out more money for eggs and cars and whatever, your home value is appreciating. If you are on the renting side, it's a lose-lose for you, because in all likelihood your rent's going up and you have nothing to show for it. Okay, so real estate is a good hedge against inflation. Okay, I just wanted everybody to kind of connect with that. And Donna, can you just read if there's any questions in the chat that I need to address? I'd be glad to do it.
No questions.
Tax advantage, compound depreciation, wealth accumulation, liquidity, If you went to the bank and said, I wanted to borrow $50,000 to start a business, $100,000 to start a business, the first question they're going to ask is, do you have any collateral? And the collateral that banks like the most is real estate. So you can easily liquidate real estate. You can easily get secured financing on it. I don't mean like in an hour, but I mean, you can liquidate a house in 60 days, 45 days. You can get a home equity loan in probably 30 days or less. Capital gains, tax exclusion, investment properties give you appreciation and the ability to shelter your income. Here's like a simple example that's really relatable. If $400,000 is a starter home in your market, which it unfortunately may not be in this environment, you just need to scale the number up a little bit. If you decided to wait for 5 years, okay, the appreciation based upon the forecast would put you $85,000 behind. Plus, you wouldn't be amortizing your home. You wouldn't be having any of the annual tax benefits during that period of time. Home price forecasts, average for 2025 is 3.1. If the average home price in your area is 400, 700,000, you're going to be paying 25,000 more if you wait until 26. Okay. There's the annual projections that build into that 3.1%. We're going to talk a little bit about the magic of compounding interest. But what I want you to look at here is, oops. Reshare again. Buy or wait. We're going to explore this for the next couple of minutes. Should you hold out for lower rates? If mortgage rates decline, you're going to have to compete with a whole nother segment of buyers that now can afford to be in that same price point. A further drop in mortgage rates could bring a surge in demand, making it tougher to actually buy a house. I don't know if anybody on this Zoom meeting here had tried to buy a house and were crowded out by a lot of buyers. But if you wait for mortgages to drop, that's the exposure and risk that you have. Is it better to wait? Well, this is an old slide, but after elections, 7 out of 8 cycles, prices have gone up significantly. I'll just give you a little chart. The election year or the following year, we have 4%, 7%, 9%, 10% increase. Again, the only cycle was the 2008 cycle that was the mortgage crisis. The average homeowner gained $25,000 in the past year. We talked about a $700,000, $750 buyer. If they wait, it's likely you're going to wind up paying at least $25,000 more a year down the road. So if you save $25,000, you basically lost it to appreciation or inflation in the housing market. This is somebody else telling you about compound appreciation. I'm going to play this for about a minute. And if you can't hear the sound, just let me know, okay?
Here's how you can retire and have millions just owning 5 rental property. You guys see this property here? I'm going to walk through the whole entire detail. What I paid for this property, what I did to the property, what I'm doing in the backyard. And I want you to think about this. I want you to imagine if we had 3 sets of these, just 3 of these property, you'd be rich and wealthy for life and for the next generation. We bought this property a little over 20 years ago. We paid $106,000 for this property. Back then, I wish I would have had a lot more money, and back then I wish I knew more about real estate, because you know what? I would have bought the whole damn block if I would have knew how real estate is today, okay? That's to show you compound appreciation, you guys. This house is about 800 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And we put in about $35,000 to basically put new carpet, new paint, right? Update the bathroom a little bit back then, and since then we haven't done much to it, and you know it looks good, you know. And the renter, we have probably 3 renters that's been in this house, and basically this house right here, it's literally, the mortgage is very low. I'm gonna tell you what it is in a minute. This property is zoned single family, and it sits on a 4,400 square foot lot. But what makes this property valuable, you guys, is where the house sits on the lot. It sits more towards the front, and there's a backyard, even though it's a small lot. Most time.
Okay, so basically, I don't know if he mentioned it in that little clip, but the house was worth 600,000 20 years later, and he paid 140 for it with the improvements. Now it's worth 600,000. Here is the 5% appreciation chart for a home, and if you assume homes appreciate at the same they've done the last 30 and 80 years, which is 5.5%. Okay, the last few years was significantly higher, but I want to take a conservative number. A first-time home buyer using FHA for 400,000 can get in with as little as $14,000. That's assuming they're able to build the closing costs into the price. The projected appreciation in year one is 22,000. Giving you 157% return on your 14,000, which means the 14,000 now just earned you 22,000 in 1 year with appreciation. Fast forward that 5 years out, okay, you have over 8 times the return on your investment. So your $14,000 investment has earned you an extra 122,000. Go 10 years, it goes to 283. It's not 122 times 2, 244. The compounding effect makes it 283. 283, 10 more years out goes to 767. That's almost triple. And then 767, just 10 more years goes to over $1.5 million of appreciation from your $14,000 investment. Now, if you took $10,000, you put it into the stock market, excuse me, 14,000, the same money, you got a 10% return, nearly twice the return on real estate. After 5 years, instead of 122,000, you would have earned a return of 8,547. Go out 30 years, it's 230,000 versus 1,593,000. Does anyone not get what I'm talking about here? Because I'd love to explain this a little bit better. It's such a profound concept. Anybody?
Nothing like owning real
Like
estate.
this. Do you guys get it?
Nothing like owning real estate.
Tony Burrow, do you get it?
Well, for sure. I know that man that you just put on the screen. I met him in 1991 with Mike Ferry. He's from, originally he came here from Vietnam. He came here when Hanoi ran away from Hanoi there when Hanoi went down. And he's in Washington State near Seattle. Today, that man drives around with a Bentley and Ferraris because he understood the concept and he worked hard on getting all those homes that he was talking about. So he's a real story. He's a real McCoy.
Right. So Tony, one of the things that there's 2 things in that chart that I shared that I think a lot of people miss. Number one is if you buy a property with 3.5% down, right? You buy a property for 400,000 with 14,000. Yes, you're putting 3.5% down, but you get the appreciation on 100%. So you get the return on the full 400,000. That's why it's amazing.
Oh, it is amazing because you are leveraging, the property there with other people's money.
Correct.
And
you're leveraging it with other people's money, and then you know, when I talk about compounding that, so Tony, in 5 years, that house is worth 5.25, right? So now you're getting 5.5% on 525,000. 10 years down the road, it's worth $1 million. You're getting 5.5% on $1 million, not on the original 400,000.
Exactly.
That's the compound effect that really makes real estate unique. Okay. And we haven't even talked about the fact that you live in it. So you get the benefit of having the stability of living in a home of your choice. Okay. Sometimes maybe, you know, for me, you know, most of the homes I bought, you know, the first year was probably more than I would have been paying in rent, but the experience in the house is something that it's unmatched to what you could rent. But I just want everybody to understand, and if you're with Remax Select, any of your clients on here, I'm going to train you all tomorrow to be able to customize that chart and show everybody just how important it is to understand. And I'm not telling you to buy or not buy, but what I want to do is I want to educate you on what is possible and what it means. Okay. So Tony, thank you for chiming in. And I'm going to go back to all right. So even with 3%, okay, if you assume you say, hey, Rob, I don't know if it's going to go up for 5% forever. I'm conservative. Let's take 3%. And you might say, hey, the stock market's not going to have 10% forever. Let's take 8%. You're still talking about that $14,000 investment, $570,000 in 30 years, 126. In 5 years, it's 63,000 versus 6,500. It's amazing the difference it has. And I'm not saying don't invest money in stocks, but I'm saying have a balanced approach.
It can be more than that too, if the values go up even higher.
I mean, if you use the values that we've seen the past 4 years, Ron, it would be like criminal. You'd be like, I can't believe it's that much money. All right.
Well, in Broward County, in the last 5 years, the real estate went up almost 80%, 79.5. So,
right.
Just
so Tony, but I don't want people to be afraid because it went up that much. Because look at what the stock market went up. Okay, there is patterns and there's precedent. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, like, I am a very logical spreadsheet person. Okay, I'm guilty of that. And if I say something went up 80% in 5 years, you know, maybe the law of averages is going to pull that down a little bit. But the reality is, what around you hasn't gone up in cost, right? So the cost to replicate that house has gone up. Okay, construction costs probably up 30 to 80%. You know, cost to get permits, all of the expenses to build houses are more expensive. Okay.
Rob, please unmute yourself.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take action. Take a look at the whole picture. You know, 5 years ago, Tony, before the properties went up 80%, they probably went up 30% from the prior 5 years. So if you were nervous and didn't look at the big picture, you might miss out.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You also talked about parents helping kids invest in homes, which was something a lot of people have neglect to go into.
We're gonna talk about that when we get to investment, but I appreciate you reminding me about that, Abe. This one here, anybody recognize that guy? All right.
Mr. Buffett.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you time the big market moves so well?
The interesting thing is, you know, obviously, we haven't the faintest idea what the stock market is going to do, when it opens on Monday. We never have had. We have never made, Charlie and I.
So basically, you can find that on YouTube, but probably the best investor of our generation is saying that he doesn't try to time the market. So how can we try to time the real estate market? Okay, here's average sales prices for the past 10 years. You can see a huge trend. There was a small blip down when the world didn't know how to react. Here is real estate compared to stocks, and this is the unleveraged return. Okay. Now you might say, well, Rob, when you showed me the chart before, it was a massive difference, and that's because if you buy a house for 400,000, you put down 5%, 20,000, or you put down 3.5, 14,000, you're getting the appreciation on the entire amount. Okay, huge, massive benefit. America's opinion on long-term investments as of 2024, real estate, stocks, mutual funds, gold, savings account, bonds, cryptos. Mortgage rates are projected to come down slightly. I think that's great news, but if you're in the buying market, that means more competition. Mortgage rate forecast, probably within 1% of where we are now by all the experts. By the way, most of these experts were wrong in the past year. Home prices are forecast to rise. Okay, so you can get in before they rise. Here's all the smart people. If you're Morgan Stanley, for some reason, they're the only one with Moody's that think prices might see a moderate depreciation, but there's some pretty big names, some pretty smart people that are making predictions that have been successful in the past. More homes may be available for sale. Okay, this spring there may be more homes. However, if there's more buyers, there's less homes for you, which is what really matters. Mortgage rate projections. You can put that in the guess of trying to be Warren Buffett and predict the stock market. These look reasonable to me, but these wouldn't influence how I behaved in one bit. This one here is an amazing chart because as interest rates drop, it shows you how demand for homes goes up. So if interest rates get into the 5% range, 5.9, demand becomes increasingly stronger. And this principle is proven by the builders being able to manufacture demand by subsidizing interest rates. So Frank talked earlier in the session about instead of lowering your price, provide a preferential financing package. It's not you're lending your own money, but Toll Brothers and KB Homes, they're buying interest rates down instead of lowering price to attract buyers. Okay, and if you're waiting for rates to come down, you just need to be educated and understand what you're going to be dealing with. Remember the two-headed coin analogy. Okay, flip the coin, head you win, head you win. Two-sided coin. Things to avoid after applying for a mortgage. This is standard, not intuitive for most buyers. Don't decide to change your bank account to move it to something closer to your new home. Don't apply for new credit cards or credit lines. Don't deposit cash or undocumentable funds into your bank account. Don't co-sign any loans, and don't buy a new car, appliance, or furniture for your lovely new home before you close, because you may wind up with a problem. Okay, because the bank is going to analyze you at a particular point in time. If you do some things that are on this list here. It may jeopardize your financing, or it may cost you more because you're not a conventional loan anymore. You're a non-QM higher interest rate mortgage. Complexities of conditions, you need guidance from a professional. Real estate market is not gotten easier, despite the fact that you have all these portals online that give you properties. I think it's more confusing than ever, and I think there's certain information that's not available to the public to guide you through making the right choice. And I'm going to go into detail. And again, most of our agents do this, and if they need to freshen up on it, I will help them. But why use a realtor? It's a very complex transaction. You want to have somebody that's a trusted expert. Okay. An agent does a lot more than you realize. The best agents aren't telling you everything that they're doing. They're just getting the job done for you. They're eliminating complex situations, processes, and challenges, and they're not bringing you in saying, hey, we got a problem. Hey, we got a problem. Hey, we got a problem. Now I solved your problem. The best of the best, they communicate with you, but they're not alarmists. And most importantly, they know how to, get to the finish line. It's stressful, and it's less stressful if you have a trusted advisor. Some of the ways that an agent may help you, because there's been a lot of talk about, do I need a buyer's agent? I heard I don't need to pay an agent. Most products that sell, if you were to go sell a vehicle at an auction on the car line, 20% commission. If you sell a business, it's a 10% commission. Oftentimes businesses sell for much higher prices and the commissions are significantly higher. I think real estate's a very competitive industry. There are a lot of agents. There are a lot of agents that aren't committed to the industry and can't make a living out of it because they're not committed to delivering value. An agent, in my opinion, will save you more money than it costs you on both sides of a transaction. They review contracts, they negotiate, they educate, they can share with you things about financial planning. Abe mentioned investing in real estate. Okay, if you have young children, I've had many clients from my days in mortgages and early on in my career that bought properties for their kids. They struggled, they found a way to come up with 15, 20 grand. They bought a property, and then when their kids go to college, they sell that property and the kids graduate with no debt and also have some change left over to buy their first house. To me, that's a very impactful gift if you can find a way to do it. I'm going to go through this quickly because we're running out of time. The milestones in the home buying process: assemble your team, prepare for your financing, try to save, get pre-approved. Sometimes I feel like people try to oversave to buy a house. So I think you want to assemble your team first. That gives you guidance to how you go about doing it. It's like if you're working and you decide how much money you want to put into your 401k and what type of fund. Decide on your most must-haves, go house hunting, learn how to make an offer, inspections, closing day, and then you move into your new home. It's like a fairy tale. Things that we do here at RE/MAX Select Group, if you can't find the right house, many of our agents will do customized target mailing. We haven't forgotten the art of door knocking. So if you want to be in a particular neighborhood, nothing's on the market, or you want to jump the competition, this is a very effective way to do that. And then once you find a house, this is what I said that it's hard to do if you're not an industry professional. So look at what's going on in the market. Like here's a particular market. These are all the solds. It shows you what the sale price to list price was. shows you how many days they were on the market over here on the right. Here's another one that shows you how properties that sell under 10 days sell 7% quicker than properties that have aged on the market over 30 days. Here's an example including competition. This one I think is really worth spending a moment or two on. Okay, this one shows you that in Union between, I think this was $650 and $725 list price. There were 12 sales in the past year. There's 3 under contracts and 3 available. So if there's 12 sales and there's 3 available, that means there's 3 months of inventory on the market. Okay. And in all likelihood, if you don't like one of those 3, you're probably not going to see another house for another 30 days. So that's how a market works. And most agents, I dare say, don't give serious buyers this type of information, which I think is incredibly helpful. And they also share with you that in Union, if the perfect house comes on the market, you can expect to pay 5.3% above the ask price. And when you do that, you can sleep well at night because you know that that's how the properties are behaving if you want to be the successful buyer. And if you're fortunate enough to see a house that's been on the market for over 40 days, you might be able to negotiate 3 to 8% discount on average. Our agents can also look at how a particular agent prices homes. Okay, so there are some agencies and brokerages that the agents price the home competitively and slightly below the market because they know they'll get more demand and generally get a higher price for their client. So in this particular case, Bernadette, in the same exact market, is selling her listings for 11.5% above the asking price. And Tom is selling his for 2.5% underage or discount. So would it be helpful to know whose listing that is before you make an offer? I would think so. And I would say that a lot of people don't have that information. They don't share that with you. So now we're done. We're about ready for questions. This is the first one that we did live, virtually. I hope it was of a benefit to you. And we'll take some questions. And actually, Abe, I want to talk about another one, which is like a kiddie condo. So if you haven't bought a house for your kid, you're a parent, you haven't bought a house and they're going to college, it's a good idea to look into. Instead of paying dorm dues or renting off campus, you might be able to buy a property, have your kid go through college. You might even be able to make a profit along the way instead of paying room and board. And then at the end of the day, you might have a nice appreciation or capital gain. Has anybody ever known anybody to do that?
So Rob, I can share my experience. So my oldest son, after he finished his freshman year, and he's at a large state university, and of course we were going to have to go and find some place for him to live. And we are a normal middle class family and whatnot. And my husband and I, we just thought, well, we can't afford to buy anything. And then we started looking at what the monthly payments would be and whatnot. And in the end, we were able to, make an offer. The condo market was super hot. And so things were off the market the same day. So we went in with a full price offer, closed on the deal. And, it has been an extremely important investment for us. Plus it has at least double or tripled if we were to sell it today in terms of sale price. And, we've been able to cash flow it with roommates. And the one thing that we did do as well is we put our son on title and mortgage for a couple of reasons. One, to help him build credit, but also to understand what the home buying process looks like, as well as to instill a sense of responsibility. And, you know, we put him in charge as the property manager, if you will. And at the end said, you know, when we sell, if you've done a good job, then you're going to collect a portion of the proceeds.
So, like, I think, you know, parents always want to find a way to help their children. And sometimes, you know, being a, you know, middle class or a working family, it's hard to get ahead of things. Prices are going up, everything's going. You built a hedge against inflation, and I think you've done something great for your kids. So congratulations on that. You know, if you have kids that are in preschool or young, maybe you might aspire to buy a property early on, maybe even put it into a 529. And when they go to college, you can liquidate that property and have kids graduate without debt, without having, you know, multi-millionaire or billionaire parents, right? So these are some really cool examples. You know, these are out there for everybody, but it just requires some creativity, requires some analysis, and it requires, you know, a little bit of planning. So I want to open up. Anybody have any other questions? Number one, did you get something from it? You know, what you know, for anybody, what's one thing that you found that blew your mind, if anything? Abe, you're on mute.
To help your kids, like Ilana said, and invest in the property and see it grow.
So for me, you know, and I've been doing this for a long time, I'm a spreadsheet person. I had no idea the difference between a $14,000 leveraged investment in real estate versus the stock market. I had no idea it was that big. We're talking 11,000% return over 30 years versus like a 6,000% return. It's insane. Anybody else have anything that, you know, you've been doing this a while and you picked something up that you didn't know?
It's just easier for people that don't think they can qualify, is to really give it a shot. You know, talk to your mortgage broker, talk to your agent, and see where their numbers land. Because wherever the numbers fall, it should be much better than renting. Because if you're spending $40,000 a year renting, where you can buy for less than that, it just doesn't make any sense.
And if you're a buyer invited by one of our team here, you know, this is not like an event to try to get you to buy. Okay, this is an event to try to get you to understand what's right for you. Okay, and here at Remax Select Group, you know, if you're our client to buy your first house, we help you rent, whatever we do. We want to be your agency to help you if you ever want to consider investing in real estate, or at least understanding what that might look like. Okay. You know, I think Elena's example was one out of, you know, here was a circumstance that you had. You're like, I'm going to throw money away. Maybe I should look at something else. It probably wasn't planned years in advance, right? But I think everybody can at least now have that opportunity to make that evaluation when that time comes. Okay. So, you know, again, this is an educational event here. You know, I am biased towards real estate. I love real estate. I love helping people. I don't like pieces of stock paper. Like, that doesn't really excite me. Although I know it's part of the balance of financial planning. And if you're a guest of ours here, please reach out to the agent that invited you and, you know, ask them any questions and see if they can help you. And, you know, even if we helped you decide that real estate wasn't right for you now, this was a success. If we educated you so that you now have real estate on your calendar, on your life events, you know, it's our honor to help you and, you know, just make sure that it's right for you to do. So
the other thing I really like very much is actually buy now versus wait, which is a lot of buyer at this moment. They said, oh, let's wait until the interest come down. And I think that was a great idea to share with them. If you wait, you might have more buyer. You know, now you might have a much better chance if you wait.
Yeah, I mean, for those of us in the business, Karma and I go back many years. She's a tremendous professional, as many of the agents are who commented here. But
Thank you.
I want to say that fear or uncertainty is probably the biggest trap in this business. So we want to provide clarity so that you don't make a mistake because you don't have the vision of what's right for you. So, go back 3-4 years, people were jumping over each other to buy houses, right? And now in markets like Florida, there's actually inventory. You can go out on a Tuesday or a Saturday and see 4 to 7 properties. New Jersey, maybe not so much. Maybe you have 2 or 3 instead of 0. Okay. So this is truly an opportunity if you're committed to buying. And, if you study people like Warren Buffett will tell you that he never, got such a great deal where he got a stock for half price off. What he does is he focuses on buying quality companies that over time will provide a phenomenal return, right? Because if you're waiting for that stock to drop from $100 to $80, you're going to miss out on the benefit by waiting. So in real estate, look, it's not you have to buy now, but I want to educate you. And if you're one of our team, I want you to have some more resources to talk to your clients about how they can make the right choice for themselves and their family. For me, buying my first house was a life-changing experience. And, I'm in awe every time I see an individual or a young family buy a house for the first time. The way that they light up, it's now my own house. And now they're getting all that appreciation. When they want to trade up, they now have equity. Okay. And I believe it's a healthy part of financial planning in life. So any other takeaways, questions?
So Rob, I just wanted to comment that the first place that my wife and I bought back in 1981, we paid 18.75% for our mortgage. And we refinanced it twice while we lived there, and were able to start building, the monies that we needed to keep buying better and better homes to live in. So, I always tell people, let's not worry about what the actual number is for the mortgage rate. Let's look at if we can afford it. If we can afford the monthly payment, then let's do it, and we can always deal with the rate at another time.
Yep, you have to get in the game.
Right.
And when house prices go up when you're a homeowner, Robert, it's a different game, right?
Oh yeah.
Then prices are going up. Boy, I got a smile on my face, right? Even if you're trading up, you now have equity to control your own investment and housing decision. So I appreciate you. Last call for any questions or shout outs to something that you got. And if not, we're going to wrap it up. This is our first combined agent and client event. Thank you. I think it was a good success. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Rob.
Rob.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rob.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Sure.